To walk with you and keep you from falling, that spring to life.
It's hard for me to be the one to bring this problem.
Shalom, Israel. I just wanted to do a really quick assessment on preparing for the Sabbath. We know that all things happen double to that which is, according to Job 11:6. And so, with that being said, let's just jump right into it. So, preparing for the Sabbath, man. Preparing for the Sabbath is a weekly duty, and it's also your life's work. And let me explain that. So, it's your weekly duty because there's a weekly Sabbath. Every week, you're going to have a Sabbath. Okay? Every week, in some way, shape, or form, you're going to have a Sabbath. Or you're going to sit there and celebrate your new moon day, which in essence is a Sabbath of sorts. Okay? So every week, you're going to have your Sabbath, your new moon days, and things of that nature that you need to be setting aside and resting. You can't treat those days like normal days. You got to set those days apart. That's why it says it shall be a set apart day unto you. In that day you shall do no work, no servile work, things of that nature, according to Exodus 20:8. Now, what I want to talk about, though, is double. In preparing for the Sabbath, you got some things to do and some things to take care of on the front side of that, because you know that the Sabbath is quickly approaching, and therefore you need to have all your ducks in a row before you go to observe it. Don't just show up to the Sabbath, oh man, I forgot to put gas in my car. You know what I'm saying? The Most High gonna understand. Like, I've been guilty of that so many times in the past. Like, nah, bump that. You know what I'm saying? When the 2 days out from the Sabbath, you got a quarter tank. You know you can still make it another 2 days. Go ahead and fill it up, man, because the Sabbath is coming. You just ran out of sandwich bread, 2 nights before the Sabbath. Go to the store that night and have it. Don't wait until the day of, because then something happened and you can't make it to the store, and now you don't have no sandwich bread, and now y'all up in here trying to figure out what y'all gonna eat for the Sabbath. Now you got a last minute fast on the Sabbath. You know what I'm saying? So you really gotta think ahead. But what we're gonna do is this. We're gonna look at it not only in that weekly pattern, but we're gonna look at it as your whole life, man. Your whole life is a week. Your whole life is a week. And when you woken up to the judgment or to the resurrection, whichever one you woken up to, or if you're lucky enough and Yahweh shall come back during your lifetime, when you woken up to these things, now your Sabbath is getting ready to begin. All of your preparations have to be done. This is why on a weekly basis we have to practice this. Because when your life is over, it ain't going to be no more preparing for the Sabbath. Matter of fact, let me pull Revelation 22 real quick. It ain't going to be no more preparation in that day. When Yahushua come back, that's it, man. Y'all know the parable of the virgins. You know what I'm saying? With the oil. And when they came back, when Yahushua came back, it was too late. Okay, so I'm going to come back to that, because I don't know where it's at. But anyway, so the main portion of this lesson that I want to deal with is going to be, we're going to start with Proverbs 6:6. Proverbs 6:6. Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer, and gathereth her food in the harvest. How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep? Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, so shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth, and thy want as an armed man. So, look, consider the ant, man. The ant is always doing its work. It's preparing for the day that it's got to go, it's got to store a whole bunch of food up all summer. And it's preparing for the day that it's not going to be able to come out and find that food. Because when it gets really cold, if you pay attention, the insects and stuff don't be out like that. So the ants, it's going to be less food for the ants to find. And so therefore the ant has to prepare during the summertime and make provisions for the rest of the year. We got to do the same thing when it comes to the Sabbath. we need to be constantly in a state of preparation for the Sabbath. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta treat the Sabbath you gotta treat the weekly Sabbath like it's the greatest thing coming up. And it is. I mean, the Most High, he ordained that so it could be the greatest thing coming up every week. But that's what we gotta look forward to. I honestly be almost living Sabbath to Sabbath and camp day to camp day. You know what I'm saying? When we going out to camp, like, that's how I be counting my weeks, and I be looking forward to that jump. Cause like, in this wicked world, that's all we can really look forward to, is going to camp, being around the brothers, and studying the scriptures, and then being able to rest on the Sabbath. Like, I look forward to that, man. So all week, I need to be preparing and making sure that I can sit back and say, hey, I'm done. Everything's good. All I got to do now is just focus on the Father, pray, face the east, this, that, and the third. All right. So that's preparation. Now, my rib pulled out the definition of preparation. I thought this was profound. Preparation, the act or process of making ready for use or consideration. So preparation is the act or process of making ready for use or consideration. And you need to set things to the side in order to do that. So we dealt with that a little bit. I ain't going to beat that up a little bit, but I just thought that preparation is a very important concept. Let's go to Proverbs 10 and 5. Proverbs 10 and 5. He that gathereth in summer is a wise son, but he that sleepeth in harvest is a son that causeth shame. So you don't understand the parable, but remember, the parable is of the wheat and the tares. The wheat and the tares. Shavuot, or Shavuot, you know what I'm saying, what some people call Pentecost, which we can actually dig into that, but that's an improper name, Pentecost. But Shavuot and Shavuot happens in the summertime. The Passover happens in the spring. Shavuot happens in the summer. And so the reason that's important is because the entire parable of the Bible is the wheat and the tares, and how the Most High gonna come and gather his wheat, separate the tares, throw the tares into the fire, bring the wheat into the barn. Our life is a harvest. You better be gathering during your harvest season, because when the Sabbath comes, ain't no more gathering on the Sabbath. When the final time comes, ain't no more gathering. I'm looking for that precept, and I gotta find it now. But that precept that says, let the wicked be wicked still, and let the holy be holy still. You know what I'm saying? I gotta find that, because during that time, that's it. That is it. And if you think that, okay, here you go right here, Salaki. Revelation 22:11. He that is unjust, let him be unjust still. He which is filthy, let him be filthy still. He that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still. The time is up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's already the Sabbath. If you righteous, you righteous. If you ain't, then too bad. You'd have missed out. You'd have missed out. Ain't no more works being done now, buddy. We in the Sabbath. Ain't no more works being done. So, think about it like that. Your entire life is this week. You don't have time to sleep during this week, man. It says that a wicked son, 10 and 5, Proverbs 10 and 5. But he that sleepeth in a harvest is a son that causeth shame. If you sleep during your week, if you sleeping all your time away, if you a little folding of the hands, you not doing no work. If you sitting back like that during your week, man, during your life before your Sabbath come, dog, you in trouble, man. The Most High is not dealing with that. He is not dealing with that. Jump down to verse 16 in Proverbs 10. The labor of the righteous tendeth to life, the fruit of the wicked to sin. The labor of the righteous tendeth to life, bro. If you laboring like a righteous man labors, that's gonna produce life for you. We don't have time to sleep. We don't have time to slumber. We don't have time to fold the hands. We don't have time to fold the hands. Let's go to Deuteronomy 9 and 5. Chapter 9, verse 5. Not for that. Now, this is when the people was Moses was reminding the people about the land they was getting ready to inhabit. Not for thy righteousness or for the uprightness of thine heart dost thou go to possess their land, but for the wickedness of those nations the Lord thy God does drive them out from before thee, in that he may perform the word which the Lord swore unto thy fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Understand therefore that the Lord thy God giveth thee not this good land to possess it for thy righteousness, for thou art a stiff-necked people. Look, y'all got to get this idea out your head that when the Sabbath come, you're going to be sitting back like this. Oh, yes, I've earned this, I've earned this rest on the Sabbath. Like, you got to get that out your head, because even when the people originally went into the land, it was not because of their righteousness that he brought them in there. They was the chosen nation. They was the nation above all nations. They was the nation of kings and priests. Still yet, not for their righteousness did they get brought in, because they was the stiff-necked people. What's the difference today, man? Israel's stiff-necked as hell. We got Israelites who's still stiff-necked. You know what I'm saying? It's certain aspects that we stiff-necked. We read something and we think we got the understanding on it. Nah, that ain't the breakdown. Brother, we don't need to be disagreeing over that. We don't need to be, that's being stiff-necked. That's what the elders say is the ultimate curse. That's the ultimate curse, because if we can't at least have a loving eye towards our brother, we disagreeing over the Bible. We ready to disagree and cut people off from the kingdom over the Bible, man. That's crazy. We can't be stiff-necked like this. We can't. The Most High said Yahushua said the greatest commandment is to love your brother. So we got to keep that in mind. And actually, the Most High said that, because guess what? Yahushua only spoke the words of the Father. That's it. Okay? He did not speak his own words. So let's go to Romans 3:20 real quick. Romans 3:20. Don't get to your Sabbath day thinking that you earn this. You should have a different spirit on the Sabbath. Therefore, by the deeds of the law, there shall no flesh be justified in his sight. For by the law is the knowledge of sin. So, I'm not going to get into the second half of that. But therefore, by the deeds of the law, there shall no flesh be justified. No flesh is justified before his sight based off of the works of the law, man. So when you get to your Sabbath day, that need to be a day of repentance and prayer and fasting and just focusing on the Most High to the utmost degree. Not, I've been righteous all week, Father. How much can't wait to get the kingdom. Like, bro, you can't do that. This is not what the Sabbath is. Like, you don't get it. You don't know what the Sabbath is. That's why you're doing that. The Sabbath is a day of bringing offerings. The Sabbath is a day of bringing prayers and offerings to the Most High. And you can see that in Ezekiel 46. I wasn't even going to get into this. This is something else. But Ezekiel 46, I'll skim it real quick. Y'all can go back and read it, because I wasn't going to talk about this. Okay, listen. Ezekiel 46:1. Thus saith the Lord God, the gate of the inner court that looketh toward the east shall be shut for 6 working days. But on the Sabbath it shall be open. And in the day of the new moon it shall be open. Okay, so you got 3 types of days. You got the working days, the gate going to be shut. But on the Sabbath and the new moon days, the gate going to be open. And the prince, who is the prince? Yahushua. Or you can say Yasharallah if you want to, because we are the body of Yahushua. And the prince shall enter by the way of the porch of that gate without, and shall stand by the post of the gate, and the priest shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offering, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate. Notice, he is not offering sin offerings right there. He is offering the burnt offerings and the peace offerings. We can go into that later. That's good. That's some good stuff. But anyway, right there, this is what the Sabbath is about. On the Sabbath day and on the new moon days, you're supposed to utilize that rest to come to the Most High and give him a sweet aroma of blessings and prayers and humility. You know what I'm saying? Shamefacedness. All right, let's get back to it. Matthew 11:28. Matthew 11:28. My time running short, so I got to speed through this because I don't want my video to stop. Matthew 11:28. Here we go. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. You got to come to Yahushua to get rest. This is why the Old Testament only Hebrews and Israelites, the Old Testament Israelites, is in trouble. Your works is never gonna stop, bro. You never gonna get the kingdom. You might get to the kingdom based off of the promise of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But your work ain't gonna stop. You're gonna still be laboring. You're gonna be somebody's servant because you're not fit to be a ruler because you rejected your invitation to come through the door, which is Yahushua. Man, that's some crazy stuff. He said, come to me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. He is going to lead you into the promised land. Yahushua going to bring you into the promised land, just like Yahushua brought the Israelites into the promised land. There's nothing new under the sun. Verse 29, take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest for your souls. He said, take my yoke upon you. Once again, that goes back to them commandments, man. He said, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. That's a direct precept for the law. So anybody who want to sit there and say that Yahushua was teaching against the law, New Testament was teaching against the law, that's another cut. Chapter 11, verse 28 through 30. Hebrews 4 and 11. Let's hit this one real quick. Hebrews 4 and 11, we're talking about preparing for the Sabbath. And your whole life is preparing for the Sabbath. Your whole life is Sabbath preparation. Hebrews 4 and 11. Let us labor, therefore, to enter into that rest, lest any man fall after the same example of unbelief. So, let's jump up to verse 2 in chapter 4. For unto us was the gospel preached, as well as unto them. But the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in them that heard it. This goes back to Deuteronomy 9 and 5, what we just read. The main idea here is that the same gospel that we're preaching right now on the highways and the byways, on the corners, in the rural areas, in the urban areas, all of these places where the Israelites is at, preaching and teaching. We saying the same thing that the prophets were saying the same thing that Moses was saying, same thing Joshua was saying. Tighten up so we can enter into our rest. Let's work now. Let's put in the work now so we can enter into our rest. And now we got to labor to enter into that rest. You don't have time to sleep, man. Don't be a wicked servant. Don't be caught with your lamp not burning because you ain't got no oil. Don't be caught like that. That's all I got. Shalom.
I had this brother, man, yo, he was my nigga, used to build on the kingdom, conversing on getting bigger, feel like life done took his course in his mind, cause now we bitter, tried to hit him with the scripture, but he hear it like a whisper.